I'm on the next slide. Okay, so today I'm going to provide a brief overview of the MSAA program. We'll look at some of the resource documents, the responsibilities of TAs and TCs, and technical requirements needed for the MSAA system. We will look at how to navigate the MSAA system and assign classrooms. Then we'll cover responsibilities before, during, and after testing. The purpose of MSAA is to ensure that all students are able to participate in an assessment that is a measure of what they know and can do in relation to grade level state content standards. It will ensure that students with significant cognitive disabilities achieve increasingly higher academic outcomes and leave high school prepared for post-secondary options. It meets the requirements of the Every Student Succeeds Act and the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which require the participation of all students in assessments designed to measure student knowledge and ability on grade level content standards. Student participation criteria. All students that participate in MSAA must meet the specific criteria to participate in an alternate assessment. They have to have a significant cognitive disability that impacts their intellectual functioning and adaptive behavior. These students receive instruction linked to grade level content standards that are appropriate and challenging to the student. These students require extensive, direct, individualized instruction and substantial supports to achieve measurable gains. MSAA assesses both English language arts and mathematics. ELA is comprised of reading and writing. The test is aligned to the state content standards using the MSAA core content connectors. MSAA is provided in an online platform. All item passages, response options, and test administration materials are secure. MSAA is administered in grades 3 through 8 and third year high school. Testing time varies for each student, as testing can be paused and resumed based on a student's needs. Many assessment features are available within the online platform. All accommodations used must be previously documented in a student's individualized education plan. The test is administered in a one-to-one setting by a trained test administrator. The assessment is available in 2 formats, both computer and paper-based. A paper accommodation must be documented in the student's IEP. Students may also participate in a hybrid combination of paper and computer administration. This hybrid option requires both a paper-based and scribed accommodation. MSAA is a stage-adaptive test. All students are administered session 1. The second session of the assessment is assigned to each student based on how the student responds to a set of items in the first session. For ELA, session 2A contains items at a lower level of difficulty or complexity. The writing prompt associated with this level utilizes sentence starters for student work. Version 2B contains items at a mid-level range of difficulty or complexity. The writing prompt associated with this level utilizes graphic organizers and a template for student work. Session 2C contains items at a higher level range of difficulty or complexity. The writing prompt associated with this level utilizes a graphic organizer and a template for student work. The math portion will be presented the same way, with student responses from session 1 directing them to a second session with varying levels of difficulty. Both math and ELA have selected response items with either 2 or 3 multiple choice answer options. Only math items contain constructed response items where the student is asked to develop an answer instead of selecting an answer from answer options. Writing prompt ELA requires students to produce a permanent product in response to a prompt. Each writing prompt, DTA, or Directions for Test Administration, contains the following: a standardized, scripted sequence of steps for the TA to follow, a graphic organizer for students to make notes and plan their essay, a template to write their essay before it's typed out onto the computer or uploaded into the system, a mentor text to present to the student as an example of a finished product for grades 3, 4, 5, and 11 only. The test administration manuals were automatically delivered to districts. District offices received 1 TAM per 5 students. Please send TAMs out to your TAs. All users were registered February 27th. Any user added to this date will be added by the, after this date, will be added by the current test coordinator. I will show you how to do this. Both TAs and TCs training modules will be accessible March 4th. Measure Progress has also developed some best practice videos that will be available then as well. The administration begins March 18th. If you have a grade reassignment or need to have a test reopened, the final date to do so is April 30th. May 3rd is the last day of testing. TAs must complete 1 end of test survey. Sample items may be found on the login page on the MSAA system. You do not need a password to access them. Using the sample items are a great way for teachers to test their browsers and computer. The link to sample items will provide different grade band items for ELA and math. By clicking on the action button, students may start a test, or the TA may download a test to access a paper copy. MSAA utilizes 4 different types of users. Each user has a different role. The state lead is myself, Sune, has permission to go into most every part of the system and to look at user and student information. DACs are our district assessment coordinators that provided the information for us to upload our TCs and TAs into the system, and they are our point of contact for the DOE. TCs are, of course, the test coordinators. They monitor and oversee test administrators, collect test security documents, shred confidential test material. TAs are the test administrators, professional familiar adults that have been trained to administer the test to students. TAs are classroom level users. Test coordinators must register TAs that were not in the initial upload and create classrooms when needed. They need to ensure that TAs are familiar with the new test security webinar and handbook and sign test security agreements. We ask that you check your student registration, make grade changes if necessary, and contact me should a grade change be needed. Test coordinators are responsible to monitor TA's training to ensure that training is completed in a timely manner. Often, districts set up district training to enable TAs to go through the training together. Just as last year, we ask that you complete at least 1 testing observation. TCs may be asked to close a student's test when an early stopping rule is appropriate. Please notify the department when a student transfers out of your district. TCs must report all test irregularities and are required to shred all testing materials. All users should have received a welcome email from Measure Progress. If you did not receive an email, please check your junk or spam folder. The link in the email may be used once. Use your current school email and create a personal password to use for each login. This is also in the test coordinator's user guide. Once your user account is set up and you have changed your temporary password, you can access the MSAA system anytime. Please bookmark this page for easy access. If you did not receive a welcome email, you can also use this URL and request a new password. This really does work, folks, so if you haven't got your email, you can log in. This is your MSAA dashboard or homepage. You can navigate within the system from this black bar on the top and access the resources such as the TAM, user guides, and sample items on the bottom of the page. You will also find the Service Center information on the bottom right-hand side of the page. One of the first areas you should check on the home page is My Organizations. Through your Organization tab, you can check your test administrators and create classrooms. After you click on the My Organizations link in the navigation bar, you will see the child organizations or schools you have been assigned to. This sample organization has 11 schools. Click on the number 11 and a list of all the schools in your district will appear. If you have access to more than one district, you will need to access more than one district at a time. Should you need to add a user, another TC, or a TA, choose Add User from the Action button drop-down for a particular school. So you can go straight to the school and just add a user for that particular school. The first information requested is a user's school email. Then assign a temporary password for your TA, and one example might be first initial, last initial, district name. So I chose SN RSU 106. All areas with an asterisk must be completed. The next section confirms an active status. If you have a test coordinator or a TA that no longer works for the district or feel that they should not have access to student information, you may block them here on the upper right-hand corner of this slide. Otherwise, this should be left active. When adding a new user, make sure you click Notify User of New Account so they will receive a welcome email to access the MSA system. The main profile section begins with a user's first and last name. The title is optional. Under Add an Organization, the state and district will populate. Then choose the school you want your teacher to have access to. Confirm your choice by clicking on Associate Selected Organizations. The selected organizations will be displayed on the system's user page. Once you click on Create New Account, a welcome message will let you know one has been sent to the new users. To add more schools or organizations, click Add More Organizations. You will use the Add More Organizations when creating classrooms for your TAs also. When you choose Add More Organizations, it will bring you back to the page where you added the user. Choose another district, and if need be, a school that you want your teacher to become the TA to. Again, confirm your choice by clicking on the Associate Selected Organizations. This user now has access to 2 organizations. When finished, click on Create a New Account, and you will receive a confirmation message that the information has been updated. If you have more than one TA in a school, you will need to make classrooms. To make classrooms, find your schools by clicking on the number of child organizations. Again, the list of schools will appear. Find your correct school and then click on the Action button and choose Add a Classroom. This Add Classroom page will appear. Only the new organization or the classroom name is required on this page. Use your TA's name to label the new organization. In this example, I use Sue_Nay. You could also just label the classroom Mrs. Nay. Please remember to submit. Let's create a classroom. First, click on Users in your district to see a list of all of your TAs. Or you can click on a particular school user number to find your TA. Click on the particular user ID number that you wish to connect a classroom to. On the bottom one, it says user ID and then there's a number. That's the number that you will click on. The user account will appear. First, click Edit. Then, Main Profile. The current organization table will appear. This is where you will identify a classroom and remove full access to the whole school. Click on Add More Organizations. In the user's main profile, you should see the TA school. Choose from the available drop-downs of classrooms and click Associate Selected Organization. So in this one, you see the district, and then you'd see the school, and then there will be another one box that comes up that says Classroom. And in that classroom section, there will be a drop-down and where you can choose the classrooms you've created. If your TA is the only TA at that school, a classroom does not need to be made. If an ed tech is sharing a classroom with a teacher, you may add them to the same classroom name so they may share their students. Again, click on Save. You may access all of the students in your district by going back to the dashboard and selecting Students. Please check to see if all of your students are registered. If you are missing students or have students that should not be registered, please check your alternate roster in NEO and contact me immediately. To check on students in a particular school and to assign them to a classroom, click on the number count of students for that school. The student roster will appear. Then click on the MSAA system-generated student identification number. And this is very similar with the test coordinators or the test administrators. Their unique numbers is always all the way to the left. The student name and assigned org ID number will appear at the top of the page. Scroll down to the bottom of this student page and click on Edit. The student's profile will appear. Scroll to the bottom of the page, and there you will find the state, district, school, and now a classroom option. Choose your classroom from the drop-down. Save your changes, and you are done. You have now connected a student to a classroom. If a student moves within your district, change the school by choosing the new school from the drop-down. If a student moves outside of your district, please contact your state coordinator, Sune. If a student is missing or one is registered that should not be, again, check your alternate assessment report in NEO. Go to Student Data, Student Reports, Report for alternate assessment. By clicking on View Report, you may choose your district and school name to find the most current list of students that should be taking the alternate assessment. Should someone be missing on the report, please make sure that Synergy is updated. If a student that no longer qualifies for the alternate assessment is on the list, contact SUNE again to remove this student from the MSAA system. Please note, no new students may change their test status as an alternate assessment student after March 1st. MSAA online training is required for both TAs and TCs. The training modules are called Test Administration Training for the MSAA system and are found on the black banner on the dashboard page. The modules follow the information in the Test Administration Manual and the user guides. As a TC, you must complete the MSAA Test Administration Training modules. These modules are customized for the specific responsibilities of the TC and refer to the information in the TAM, the Directions for Test Administration DTA, and the MSAA System User Guide for Test Administration. TAs also have 6 modules to complete and must pass the final quiz with at least an 80% accuracy score to administer an assessment. TAs are required to pass the end of the training quiz at 80% accuracy to access the student's test or the Directions for Test Administration. Ed technicians may administer the test. According to Maine's policy, ed techs must be a familiar adult that work with a student. Complete the online training and pass the final quiz with 80% accuracy. MSAA has developed some best practice videos. Video 1 demonstrates how to administer the student response check and the early stopping rule while focusing on communication versus selecting the correct answer and using other devices such as Cheap Talk and a single switch. Video 2 demonstrates the online administration of an item, including how to use the scroll, zoom, and full access capabilities, as well as the utilization of a hybrid, some computer, some paper, administration for the horizontal presentation of answer options. Videos 3 and 4 demonstrate how to administer the writing prompt using the Directions for Test Administration, how to insert annotations, and how to upload, view, and submit the evidence for a Tier 2 or Tier 3 writing prompt. Each video is no more than 10 minutes in length and can be viewed as many times as necessary. The videos are an optional resource, however, are highly recommended for TAs and TCs. To access the videos, go to Resources on the MSAA Online Assessment System homepage. They will be found very close to where the sample items are. Test Administration Manual, or TAM, provides policies and procedures for TAs and TCs to prepare for the administration of the test. The TAM is posted on the DOE's MSAA website as well as on the dashboard of the MSAA system. The first page of the TAM provides links for all MSAA state coordinators, the Maine state-specific policies, test security agreements, and our participation guideline documents may be found through the provided link. Here's Maine state-specific policy. This document outlines Maine's policy. Please read it carefully. Test administrators, or TAs, are certified teachers and ed technicians that are allowed to test students that they work with if they also complete the training and pass the quiz with 80% accuracy. Paper versions of the tests are an allowable accommodation if it is documented in the student's IEP plan. All TAs must complete the training modules and obtain at least 80% of the end-of-test survey. Ed specs may become trained TAs. Test security agreements. All TAs and TCs must sign a test security agreement. Registering students. Only personnel from the Maine DOE may register or transfer a student enrolled in the MSAA system. And only test coordinators may close a student's test if the student displays no consistent mode of communication. Only the state coordinator may close a test for any other reason. Participation guidelines are also spoken of in the Maine specific policy, and Maine encourages all teachers to view the guidelines to assist in determining the process at IEP meetings. This year we have a new test security agreement. This again may be found on the website. Please collect all TA security agreements and give them and your own agreement to the DAC. The department may want to look at these signed documents should we visit your school. A MSAA technical support document is readily available for support guidelines and contact information in the TAM. It provides guidelines for areas of support and contact information for the MSAA Service Center. TA should reach out to the Service Center when possible. The Service Center is open from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time during the testing window. TAs have specific responsibilities that must be completed before, during, and after testing. They are available as a checklist in the Test Administration Manual and will assist you in monitoring the TA's work. Likewise, a TC responsibilities checklist is also available in the TAM. Most important right now is to check student enrollment and your TAs that are in the system. And I will give you folks a chance to go in and look at all of those different pieces. As part of the test security and validity, TCs are asked to monitor administration for at least one student. These two are available on the Maine DOE website. Observation documentation will be retained by the district. TCs will report any incidences involving alleged or suspected violations that fall under the category of serious irregularity to the MDOE assessment coordinator in accordance with the state guidelines. The department will be randomly asking for these observation checklists, and I want to thank many of you that sent them to me last year. Some of the items in both ELA and mathematics have horizontal answer options. These items are identified in the DTA and at the item level in the DTA. When this occurs, the student or TA using the iPad will need to rotate an iPad from a vertical presentation to a horizontal presentation to view all the response options at the same time. User guides are available for both test coordinators and test administrators. They are found under the resources link on the dashboard as well as the MDOE site. Please encourage your TAs to use their guides to assist them with navigation. You will also find great screenshots to assist you with monitoring your TAs in the system. TAs will receive access to the DTAs after their training is completed. TAs may print the DTAs or can opt to view them on another computer during administration. Please remember, that DTAs are secure material and must be kept in a secure location. After testing, the DTAs are given to you, the TC, for shredding after testing, and delete all forms from the computers after testing. Please remind teachers to read the direction passages, items, and answer option tests exactly as written, using a consistent rate of reading and tone of voice as appropriate. Using a DTA should be recorded during your observations. Also, for students that, for TAs that have opted to view a computer DTA, that's fine, but they need to remember that some parts of the DTA need to be printed, so they should have those available and ready before testing begins. Tablets and devices that may be used to administer the test include Chromebook, iPad 2, iPad mini, and Windows Surface. Interactive boards may also be used and have been found very successful with many of our students. Please remind teachers to use the sample items and check the devices they plan on using before administering items to the student. Chrome, Firefox, and Internet Explorer are supported browsers. Please note that browsers must support cookies and have JavaScript enabled. They tell us that Google Chrome is the most reliable browser. MSAA offers many supports. They include the entire test can be read aloud, the use of manipulatives, pictures and graphic supports what is read, the use of models and demonstrations, and the use of common geometric shapes and smaller numbers in the math test. Please check your TA's progress on their student profile. Choose a student name, check on the action bar, and go to the student profile. TAs cannot look at a student test or directions for test administration until a student profile is complete. This is what the student profile looks like, the gray bar going across. All 4 sections of a student profile must be completed. A simple check may assist a TA that cannot access her student's test. Test administrators have only been given the role of confirming grade levels. If a student's grade was entered incorrectly, she will need to be changed so that the student will receive the correct grade level testing form. TAs must contact their TC if this happens. The TC must call the MSAA Service Center. When you call, confirm your identity and request a form reassignment to the new grade. The service desk will then contact the state coordinator to confirm the correct grade in Synergy. A new test grade form will be reassigned to the student. Or you can also just call me, Sune. Allowable accommodations include assistive technology, and please remember to have your TAs test their assistive technology with their students using the sample items, the paper version of a test, scribe, and sign language. These accommodations must be in the student's IEP and selected in the Before Accommodations section of the student profile. The student response check is used to assure that all students have a mode or modes of communication in which the TA understands and observes as clear communication. Only then can a TA understand a response and scribe an answer option for a student. An observable response is defined as a predictable and consistent behavior or movement that is able to be understood by a communication partner as intentional communication. A TA cannot assign meaning to a habitual or uncontrollable motor movement or vocalization without communicative intent. Modalities may include use of eye gaze, reliable gestures, sign language, partner-assisted scanning, scanning on a device, direct selections from an array of choices, activation of a voice output device, use of a speech-generated device, or other reliable means. This flowchart is available in the TAM and will assist TAs in determining if a student should be giving a student response check. Students with a known communication modality do not need to take the SRC, but the TA does need to check this off in the system, or they will not be able to access the test. If a student is unable to give an observable response when you administer the first 4 items of either math or ELA, stop. The TC may close both tests. If a student does not give an observable response, continue through both ELA. I'm sorry, I read that backwards. If a student is unable to give an observable response when you administer the first 4 items of either math or ELA, do stop. The TC may close both tests. If a student does give an observable response, continue through both the ELA and math tests. Students without a communication response will be marked as other, and the TA will be asked to specify the no response was given. Should a student not respond to any of the first 4 items in either of the math or ELA test? This is where the TC must meet with a teacher to decide if closing the test is appropriate. One option is to give the student an opportunity to demonstrate a meaningful, observable response. If both the TA and TC determine that the student does not have a consistent observable response, the TC will need to close both tests. Go to the student page, click on the action button associated with this particular student, and choose Close Test from the drop-down. Only test coordinators have permission to close tests in the MSAA system. The only test closure reason is the early stopping rule. When you click Close Test from the Actions menu, the prompt shown here appears. It asks you to confirm that the student met the criteria for the early stopping rule. Check this box, then click Close Test. The test will close. Remember, you need to do both math and ELA. Teachers can pause a test as many times as they feel is necessary for the student to be successful. It is very important that they use the Save and Exit button. Only one student test may be opened at a time. Students' tests will become locked if more than one is open, and time will be spent contacting the service center to unlock a test. Equally important, please, as TCs, make sure the students' tests are submitted. Tests that are not submitted are coded as misadministration, and the student will not receive a score. To access the student profile to complete the accommodations, once the testing is complete, again, go to the student profile. Click on Accommodations After Test tab. Select the accommodations that the student actually used during the test. More than one option may be selected. If the student did not use any accommodation, please select the last option. The student did not use any accommodations. Then click the Save button when finished. One end-of-test survey is required for all TAs to complete after they have tested all of the students that they are testing. The survey is essential in providing additional data about how the test functions for students with unique and varying needs, student engagement with the test, and the opportunity to learn the content represented by the state content standards. Completed survey responses support potential revisions and refinements of the MSAA for subsequent years and provide information that can be tracked over time. Let's talk about the writing prompt. You may also hear from TAs when they are uploading a student's writing evidence. The writing prompt is operational, again, and will become part of the student's ELA score. Students that are unable to type directly into the computer for the writing prompt will either need the scribe accommodation so the TA can do it, or can provide written evidence that will need to be uploaded into the system. Please make sure your teachers either know how to use a webcam or have access to scan and upload students' work. They will need to upload the students' work before the session is submitted. Once the session is submitted, they cannot go back and upload evidence, and the writing prompt is lost. This year, the Maine DOE has created a test security handbook and test security webinar. They will be available on the Maine DOE webpage. Testing irregularity is critical to ensuring accurate, valid, reliable, and timely information about student academic performance. All TAs and TCs are responsible for ensuring that test irregularity is that testing integrity is maintained before, during, and after testing in compliance with their state's test security protocols and procedures. Testing security environments must be maintained. TCs and TAs must sign and submit their state-specific required test security agreements. Both TAs and TCs need to recognize inappropriate test practices. Both TAs and TCs are responsible for immediately reporting any violations or suspected violation of test security or confidentiality. TAs and TCs must ensure that all aspects of the MSAA test will be maintained in a secure manner. Items are for the exclusive use of testing and are not to be used for instruction, not to be shared, emailed, copied, or distributed in any manner. To do so is a test irregularity and a violation of test security. Please note, any student produced work from an assistive technology device must be filed in the student's secure testing folder for 6 years per the code of the, must be filed in the student's secure testing folder. Ensuring a quiet test-taking environment, void of distractions, and one that does not permit other students to hear the responses to the items of the student being tested. A secure and comfortable space could be a corner of the classroom where the TA and the student can work uninterrupted and in the privacy. Other students may remain in the classroom but cannot interfere when testing is taking place. Additional staff may be required in order for the TA to focus on the student being tested and be available in case an emergency arises. Viewing the assessment features and accommodations the student may need is important. Making sure the same computer, if using the computer administration, laptop, tablet, or other device is available for testing. This ensures that security of material is maintained. The TAM provides specific instructions for the secure handling of the online and printed test materials under the heading Test Security and Test Irregularities. Both TAs and TCs should review this information and adhere to these practices and state policies. Again, test irregularities that could impact a secure test administration include failure to sign and submit your state security agreement, applying the early stopping rule for any reason other than the lack of an observable response, changing the wording of test directions, test items, answer options, or any part of the test as it is written in the DTA, using any materials not indicated in the directions for test administration, providing students a preview of the test at any time, providing answers, clues, or cueing to students in advance of or during test administration. Other areas that could impact test security include manipulating materials that hint at a correct answer or incorrect answer or reduces answer options, changing a student's answer, using any of the MSAA test materials for instructional purposes, sharing test materials with colleagues, students, parents, media, or the general public, leaving the MSAA online assessment system unattended while logging into the test or the DTA, administering the test by a TA that has not completed the online training modules and passed the final quiz. TAs and other staff must notify their test coordinator if they witness or become aware of any inappropriate test practice or suspect one has occurred, and TCs must follow their state procedures. State professional codes of ethics and state laws provide the guidelines for determining the consequence for any irregularity. TCs should report irregularities directly to their DACs, and DACs can report them to the test coordinator. And here we go on this slide, exactly what I just said. TAs to test coordinators. Test coordinators can report to the district assessment coordinators, and they can report to the state assessment coordinator. Okay, so next steps. Download and read the two manuals that test coordinators will use, the TAM and the MSAA user guide. And again, those are available on the DOE site. They're also available on the dashboard of the MSAA system. Complete your test coordinator modules, and those will be available March 4th. Gather and submit test material orders. That is not for the state of Maine. Sorry, folks, we do not do any testing orders. Distribute your TAMs if you have not already done so. Those are, again, found at your district office. Remember, we only receive one TAM per 5 students, so some districts may not receive very many. Please monitor your test administration completion of the required training. To better follow your questions and receive timely, accurate responses, they have developed this support approach, and this is measure progress to receive assistance. So here's your test coordinator. Please ask your questions to the your test administrator should direct questions to your test coordinator or the MSAA service. Test coordinators, contact me if you still need more assistance. The service center for the MSAA is available again 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. I have to tell you, this is wonderful for Maine and the other Eastern Coast states that are in MSAA because they are available to us first thing in the morning. When contacting the service center, they will want to know your contact information such as name, state, district, school, perhaps your phone number or email, the student name if applicable. Any error messages that appear are very helpful for them. They may want to know your operating system and the browser information, the browser that you're using or the TA is using, and they may want to know other information about network configurations. If you're emailing the Service Center, please do not include student identifying information. If you have a student specific issue, call them instead. Please do remember, though, that we do allow you to use student SSID numbers in emails. Again, here's the Service Center information. And thank you for your time. We are going to take some questions now. Eric, do you have anything in the chat room yet? Okay, so we're going to unmute everybody, and if somebody has a question, please feel free to ask. I have a short, I think it's, I don't know, 6 or 8 slides for creating a classroom that I have pulled out from this training that I would be glad to share with anyone who's interested in it.
I have a question. What is the procedure if a student's parents, we're talking about opt-out?
So that's a great question. Please remember that it is both the federal and state law that all students must test. Therefore, we need to register all students. If a parent chooses that their student not participate in the assessment, then that's, that's the way it is, but the student needs to be registered. I may recommend that you get some kind of note or something so that you can put this parent's request in a student file. Also, another good reason for registering students, that student is ready to go. Should a parent change their mind on the very last day of testing, that test is still available for that student. But when a student does not participate, the student will be counted as a non-participant. Other questions?
Feel free to use chat or unmute yourself if you'd like to ask a question. What is PowerPoint? The question is, will this PowerPoint presentation be available to print? Now I have a lot of questions. Okay. Yeah, the PowerPoint will be hosted on the Maine DOE site, and you are able to, I believe, print off the slide deck as well. Are we providing that?
We can.
Yes. So we will provide the slide deck for you to print off and read at your leisure. Is there anything we need to do in MSAA, or just leave the test unopened if the parents insist on the opt-out?
Yeah, just leave the test as is. Do not open, do not close, do not do anything. Just leave it there. The student's registered. That's all that we really need to do if indeed the parent does not want the student to participate. I think I'd like to put a little something out there for special considerations. Brand new this year, according to ESSA regulations, we are only allowed to give out medical exemptions. They are available during open testing windows only. So for a student taking the PAPE, it's available March 1 through April 30th. For students for MSAA, that is available March 18th, which is the opening day of the test, through May 3rd.
Yes, the recording of this webinar should be available next week on the Maine DOE site. MSAA.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be under the MSAA. I can also send out, I now have you, if you were included in the template, the TC template, then I have all of your emails, and I will be sending out messages occasionally to you folks that I do not send to anyone else. And it might be, you know, we're 2 weeks in, please check your your TA's training modules, that kind of thing. But I can also send out things such as the link is available here.
One last call for questions, folks. Again, if you would prefer to ask over your microphone, unmute yourself, or you can feel free to add it in the chat.
So I want to say the most important thing again right now is to look at the lists of students, make sure the correct students are in your site, in the site for your district. Very important, tomorrow's our last day. As far as adding TAs, we certainly can add them at any time. Creating classrooms is important if you have more than one teacher at the same school so that they're not looking at each other's students. Monitoring their training is very important, as is, you know, our TAs moving along, and when they're looking at their student profiles, have they completed all 4 different tabs? Because remember, they cannot access tests until the profiles are done. Submitting all tests, I'm going to ask you folks, and I will send reminders saying, please make sure all tests are submitted on May 3rd. Very, very important. So even if the student hasn't finished a test, have them submit it anyway. That's perfectly fine. And then by May 3rd, collecting all the documents that may be left, any testing materials for shredding.
Okay. I'm not seeing any additional questions. Sue, anything to wrap up?
No, that's all. Thank you all for your time. You've been great. Please continue to contact me as you need my assistance. Have a wonderful day.
Have a great day, everybody.